Greetings. Let me see. Is it working? I think it is. It's like I've forgotten how to do this. I've got it. I think I've got it. All right, my dears. I am glad to have you here. We'll catch this on a replay. I had a very inspired moment yesterday and felt like it was appropriate. Online peeps. It looks like I have a friend here. Let me let her in. And hi, Jen, welcome. Session with my private group this week or last week, and I just felt super inspired and feeling like it was time to just put my feet for a minute and feel you guys out, see what was happening in YouTube land. Let's see if I can just do one more thing here. So that's the story. I'm here. I'm excited to be here. Oh, good. Lonnie's going to come. Welcome a few of my friends into the circle and really hold the vision. Hi, Lonnie. Hey there. Hi, friend. Nice to see you. Do we have an okay connection? Because I have had internet issues like all morning. Okay.
You're robotic.
Okay.
You're kind of choppy.
Choppy? That's not good. All right. So let me see if I can just change rooms. I didn't want to. But I've already changed rooms 3 times trying to get this party started. So bear with me, guys, for a moment here. Just for a moment, and I will be back. Hey, Danny.
Oh, it's just me here. I wasn't supposed to be able to make it today. I had my own show going, but I messed up and I'm scheduled to do my show tomorrow. And I'm like all set up and ready to receive a guest today. And I'm like, where are you? Where are you? And I realized, oh gosh, today's not even the day. I feel
Oh my gosh.
silly.
So you're on like weird time too. I was like, I couldn't believe it was Monday. Let's see. Does this work? Let's see. Is this better?
Yes, it is already, I think. Yeah.
All right. So let me just get myself cozy on the ground. Let me grab a pillow. All right. This is where I had some internet issues with our private call. And so I ended up here in front of these beautiful pink chairs. Cool chairs, right? Cool chairs. All right. Well, I'm excited to be here because I felt like I just wanted to dip my feet back in the water, Lonnie. And I think I left you a private message and was like, hey, what do you think about Miraculous Mondays? I'd heard from a number of you guys and some people had said, we miss you. And then I didn't hear from anyone for a long while. And that was okay too, because it felt like for me, the space was so essential. And it was like, I did some traveling. I went up to the States. I saw my family, as you know, and had some time back in Puerto. And now we're in a different town here in Mexico, in a beautiful, beautiful mountain town, in a beautiful, beautiful house, waiting for our friends to get here from Texas. I'm super excited about them. making their way down here as well, because really the intention, and you know that we've had a really full summer, but you also know that it's not always been fun. But what I'm learning is that as long as I'm aware of the intention of my intention, and as long as I know that my intention is pure and my intention is coming from a place of love, like building community. And you know how challenging that can be, right? Like all of us, even with our families of origin, living in the same house as adults, things change, we grow, we have certain things that we like a certain way, and blah, blah, blah. But I come back always to this intention, to the idea that the dream is pure, the innocence is there, there was positive vibrations. And this whole journey of life is really a lot about fleshing it out. It's a lot about like removing the barriers to love's presence. And a lot of people in the world, including me, we think that we've done a lot of work on ourselves, and we have. And I said this in our private group this week, like you've done great work if you're, really sincerely trying to seek God in every moment of every day and to be the best expression of yourself, to be the brightest light that you can, then you're doing it, right? You're on the right path. But what I found so much is that there's this like spiritual kind of superiority that I have found myself in, not only practicing, that spiritual ego, but also receiving. And at this point in my life, I find it really, really important to be much, much more discerning. And there's so much happening on the world stage right now, and all of us have our serious thoughts and feelings about all of it. But what it really comes down to, and maybe you're going to roll your eyes at me for saying this, but it always comes back to love. It always, 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 always comes back to love. Is this about love? And anything that we receive in our lives is either love or a call for love. And so if you're receiving something in your life, which I've received, I had some rough moments this summer where I received a lot of energy that wasn't love. And I just want to say cheers, Lonnie, because I'm drinking watermelon.
Oh, cheers.
Cheers to you, my friend. But I found that like when I'm receiving something that I feel is not love, like I'm receiving judgment or attack or projection or you're this or you're that, it really is a call for love. That's all that is. You have two choices in that moment. You can take it really personal, right? And start to defend yourself and, attack. But a true spiritual warrior, as one of my beautiful friends recently said to me, there's no need to fight. Because you know yourself so well. You know your intention is good and holy and beautiful and pure. And so anytime some weird ass energy comes your way, it's just like, okay, that is a beautiful brother or sister in front of me who is projecting their own manipulation, fear, blah, 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 judgment, lying, all of their stuff. Because at the end of the day, it's between you and your creator. And you need to be able to go to your creator and say, am I what so-and-so says I am? Am I that? And you have to be the one to answer your question. And the nuance in all of this is that I find ourselves being somewhat not as loving to ourselves as we could be. And that's what I've realized in all this time off. I really needed time to just love on myself. And yes, it's beautiful to serve in the world. And yes, it's important that those of us that have a talent, and everyone has a talent, but a unique gift, or if your gift is like speaking out, then you need to be able to do that. But there's something around balancing that. And even like this morning, I was like, oh my God, did I really say I would come online today? Like, oh no, I don't know. And my mind was like, and then it was like, and then the internet, and then this, and then the kids, and then blah, blah. And then all of it kind of stopped for a second. And it was like, look, you have two choices. You can be host to God or hostage to the ego. And that's a line from A Course in Miracles. And the Course in Miracles, in my reality, is such an important text. It's such an important curriculum because it teaches us how to love ourselves. It teaches us how to change our mindset from that self-judgment and self-loathing, which you don't even know you're doing because you're pretending that you've got all your shit together, right? Like so many of us are like playing out these characters, these personalities. And I find so much of my own personality as I create more and more space, really being much more calm. It's actually much more calm and much more peaceful and much slower. It's actually quite slow. And so my message and what I really just like a little bit of what I wanted to share for today was that whatever you receive, whether it's love, whether it's fear, your goal should be about loving more. How can you love more? How can you be host to God? How would God respond? And a lot of people will pull, phrases from the Bible. Like, for example, they'll use the example of Jesus and the money changers. And so that gives us a reason and permission to be really judgmental and call out what's wrong in the world. And you can spend your time and your energy calling out what's wrong in the world. And there's a list all of us could create in 30 seconds. That's really long, about everything that's wrong in the world. But if you're putting your energy in that direction, then you're going to feel those vibrations and you're going to feel disappointed. And then from my perspective, the ego is winning because you're not host to God. God is allowing. God is spacious. God is observing the observer. So a lot of us get stuck in, I'm observing, and now I'm judging. This is wrong. It's wrong what they're doing. This is wrong. It's wrong what he did. It's wrong what she did. That's a trap, my friends. Even if it's wrong. Even if it's wrong, I'm just saying, I'm not condoning it, but I do think it's important as we kind of step into the fall and some of us kind of shifting out of summer energy, maybe being a little bit more productive, to really look at how can you be the presence of God in this situation? How can you be loving? How can you be loving? Because love will always be the answer. And love is not judgmental. I find that example of Christ is less about, an excuse or a permission slip to be like a badass and like go out there. And I've done it. So it's no judgment here on my end. I mean, I'm top at that list, but taking a step back, I realized, how much of my own energy was in turmoil. Because that's the energy of judgment. The energy of forgiveness is allowing. So Jesus was a human. Okay, let's just use that as an example. He had a moment of being like, this is effing crazy. This is not right. Who among us can say we've not had those moments? But it's not an excuse to be like, that's allowed. We should keep doing that. No, we should be able to stand in the midst of anything, dark, light, and be the presence of God, be more loving, accept what it is and know it as an opportunity for us to know our own innocence, to know that we will be guided. Are you with me? Like, I just feel like it's really important for us these days to create more space from the narratives, to not only observe the narratives, but to observe the observer who's watching the narratives. Take that extra step back. Take that extra step back. Because that frequency is the frequency of love. And that's where the healing is. That's where the joy is. That's where everything that we're looking for actually is. And that's what I wanted to throw out there for a second. I don't know, Lonnie, if any of that resonated with you, or if you just want to share a little bit around where you're at. I've really enjoyed my time off. I really have. And I'm not sure if I'm going to get back into it every week, and we'll see how it all plays out. I've really enjoyed doing my private work. And I think that there's that safety, that container that sometimes when you put yourself out on YouTube, it's just like, anybody can come at you with anything that they want to say. And, I can speak for myself, and I know this about myself now in a way I didn't before, but my intentions are good. I just want love in the world. And I want to be able to experience that, and miracle mindedness and living in miracles. And all of that is a very, very natural and organic process, but you cannot have a miracle and a grievance at the same time. and a judgment. They cannot coexist. You're either in love or fear. And so when we're in that energy of judgment, we are in that energy of fear, regardless of if it's righteous. Regardless, you can't mess with the laws of the universe so much. And too many people right now are falling into those traps. And then, just kind of getting all like, well, blah, 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 blah. And no, thank you.
Well, thank you for exposing yourself to us today. Exposing yourself, I guess, is a good word for what you were describing about having a show like this and being, you've exposed yourself to everything and anything. So what we have a responsibility to do, which aligns with love, is to love ourselves. Obviously, that's the first thing we have to do. So anything that doesn't resonate or support what our personal purpose, goals, and visions are here in the world has to just leave, or it's just going to naturally fall away if we don't give it the attention that it's, craving. As for Jesus's outburst in the money platform there, yeah, I think that's just a natural reaction too. And I think that it's validated if something is in and interrupting our bubble and our space at that time, that it's close enough like that to have some kind of outburst. It might make an effect in the moment, it might not, but then you let it go, and you don't go looking for more things you can judge and more things that you can attack and tell them they're not doing this right and that kind of thing. No, if it's something that's affecting you, you have every right to protect yourself and to have your say and make some kind of difference. But then you let it go, and you let it all go, and you continue back. You just get right back to the focus, which is you and what you're here to do as a human being. What is your purpose as a soul purpose? And let God take care of the rest. Trust and have faith that God will take care of the rest. It's not our job to make everybody obey God and be good people in the world. It's just not our job and our responsibility. Our only responsibility, again, is to ourselves, so that we are living righteous. We are living in accordance to God's laws. We are living in alignment with love. That's our only responsibility, and that's going to infect people in the way that it's going to infect them. We don't have to feel responsible for other people's journeys and things like that. We just got to be with ourselves. It's as simple as that, but so super hard because we've been trained to do it so many other ways and to be so separate from ourselves and from God. So, so just getting back to that for sure. As far as me, I'm just here in this beautiful place now. It's been, it's been almost 2 months now that we've been here on the land. And a big, huge learning journey. I'm not online as much at all. Things are super different as well. So again, just sticking to your own journeys. I've rediscovered my personal purpose, and I have, my goals and my vision for my life. And that has drastically come to me in this last couple of months. And it's so much clearer, and it just feels so nice when you don't have all these other distractions, things pulling you in all these directions that just not sure if they feel right. And, just things just pulling you away from where you're supposed to be. So again, it's coming back to that responsibility, figuring out your purpose and going for that. Anything else is evil. Really, it's like Satan or whatnot, all those distractions and those things that are not in alignment with your purpose, they're not meant to be there. So it's putting those blinders on and just really focus things. So even this show, Marie, if it's not something that resonates anymore, it's okay for you to let it fall away. I'd like to see people who are watching to put comments in there. And do you have suggestions for Marie? What would you like to see from her if she continued to do something on YouTube like this, for example, right? Anyways, that's what I'd like to say. Just good to see you again, Marie. I'm so glad you guys are awesome and doing well.
Thank you. Well, it's good to do well. It's good to be happy. It's important. And I think that so many of us on the spiritual path, you can get there through pleasure or through pain. And I would like to choose a more pleasurable experience. I'd like to choose more fun, more lightness, more joy. You know, you have small children. I have small children. You know, it's life is meant to be fun. That there wants to be an element of lightness around it. And I think that we can, what you said was so potent just around really bringing the focus in, bringing the blinders in, like what brings me joy, what brings me happiness, and go with that, because it's a correction in the way that we perceive God. I mean, God, from my perspective and my understanding and my 17 years of really focusing on this content, wants our happiness, wants us to be united with that frequency, which is God. And so many of us, you know, suffer on that path. And we think that we have to do all this work and all this healing, and we have to do the juice, and we have to. A friend recently said that to me, and it's like, no, we have to allow that to happen. That's it. We have to step out of its way. It's happening. Miracles are occurring. It's if we're not tuned into that, if we're not feeling those synchronicities, if we're not seeing the innocence in ourselves and in each other, we're missing the miracles. If you are looking for faults in your brothers and sisters, you cannot be in the light and in the love. If you spend your energy looking for everybody else's faults, you're gone. You're not there. And that's okay. It's not a judgment, but it's like, where do you want to be? Because forgiveness offers you everything that you want. And forgiveness is the opportunity to see the bigger picture. Forgiveness is so essential these days. And I find that we have such a false idea around what forgiveness is. And that's going to be my next offering at some point is a forgiveness challenge. I used to run these little 5-day challenges on Facebook where it was like, all right, let's do the work. Are you willing to see this differently? Are you willing to see this differently? Anytime there's an irritation, a trigger, or you're tempted to judge your brother, who is innocent? P.S. Who is innocent? Just saying. If you're willing to see it differently, you will. And you will receive a soul lesson. You know, like is it communication? Is it clarity? Is it joy? Is it silence? Is it space? You know, anytime there's a trigger, there's an opposite form that you can tap. And so many of us, because we're so accustomed to living in this judgmental reality, we get ourselves really caught up in that. And so my message to myself and everybody is like, how much space can we take from being right? Do you want to be right, or do you want to be happy? That's, you know, that at the end of the day. And if you want to be happy, then you've got to do the work. And it's fun. You know, you might move, you might put your kids in school, you might pull your kids from school. I don't know. You might eat that, you might not. It's for you to decide. You have to be the master of your own reality. And that's what sovereignty from my perspective is all about. Isn't it? I mean, like, you're out there heating up your own water because things to work a certain way in your reality. Like, that's amazing. That's amazing. And no one told you to do that. That was your intuition. That was your guidance. That was you living in alignment with the truth of who you are. And that's to me how we get out of jail. That's the get out of jail free card, is really getting clear on who you are and who your brothers and sisters are. Because if your brothers and sisters are guilty, so are you. And the ego doesn't care who's guilty. Doesn't care. You, somebody else, doesn't matter. It just loves guilt. And you're either in one or in God or in ego. They both have very, very clear thought systems. And they're 100% committed. Like, God is not going to waver for the ego. And the ego is not going to waver for God. So you have to decide. There's no middle ground here. And it's not about like being outwardly perfect. It's, for me, I don't know what you think about this, Lonnie, but it's a lot about vibration. Love is a vibration. It's not a word. It's not even, you know, how does it vibrate? Like, I'm in the most exquisite nature right now. Like, I know you're a nature girl too. Like, I am like, whoa. Like, a bee was like buzzing yesterday. I was sitting by there's these tennis courts around here, and kids were kind of playing, and there was a bee, And I just found myself getting really, really quiet. And this is the thing about meditation. You can meditate anywhere, anytime. It doesn't, it doesn't have to be, you set it up. I used to be like that. I still like to do that. But if I can take a quiet moment and anywhere, I got it. I'm taking it. And I got real quiet. And I felt like the bee was literally clearing my field. Like it was just like, bzzz, like all around. It was going around, and then it was behind, then it was over there, and it was over there. And I was like, oh yeah, thank you, God. God is in the bee. God is the bee. And so am I. And so am I. And that's not an egoic thing to say. That's humility. That's bowing. That's like, okay, thank you. Thank you for the bees. Thank you for the moment. Thank you for the rain. Thank you for the sun. Thank you for the guayabas. I mean, there are these fruits coming off the trees around here that are just, it's exquisite. It's exquisite and beautiful. And that's what I want for myself. And that's what I want for my brothers and sisters who want it.
Yeah. Yeah. That is the key. That's all a person has to do is stay in that vibration, like you were saying. And that is the vibration of love, is just gratitude. So taking those moments as often as you can through the day and just being grateful for what you see around you, what you're feeling around you. I don't leave my bed in the morning until I do a prayer, and I kind of set the tone for the day and make sure that it's going to be a good day. And the more you practice that, the more easy, like for me anyways, to, if I'm feeling off in a day or something, to bring myself back to a different place of feeling and being, because it is all about vibration and keeping it up as much as we can, because we can't control what's going on around us that can be bringing us down. But we can remember in the moment when we're feeling being brought down, that we can just easily, couple tools, whatever it is, deep breathing, remembering your vision and your purpose here, those things that bring you joy, those feelings, the heart, just whatever it is for people, you can just train yourself to bring yourself back to a higher vibration at any given time, anywhere in the world. I get to, I'm honored and blessed to go and work in somebody's store this week, a couple hours a day, who went away. So we're very excited about that. I get to work out of the home, like, which I normally do not do. So this is very exciting. So I do have to go because I have to
Go for it.
open, but again, just good to see you here, Marie. I want to hear more about what's happening with you. I don't know if you sent your kids to school or not, but let me know what's going on with that too.
I will.
Yeah.
I will. And I'll just say a few more words. Bye, Lonnie. Thanks for stopping in.
Yeah. Love you guys. Love you, Marie.
Bye for now, honey. Thank you. Yeah. We are now here. We're in this new place. And so we're sorting out, what feels the best for our family. And I think I want to say just a few more words, and then I am going to pop off too. I just wanted to come in real quick and say hi to all you beautiful friends. In my post, I had said, I gave you my heart, so I'm keeping the dance party. And I wanted to just clarify what that was about. Anytime I've given my heart to a lot of things in my life. And I think that most of us, that's how you enter any engagement. You enter a relationship or a business proposition, becoming a mom, and anything you do, you're going to give it your best. You're going to put your heart out on your sleeves, and you're going to, go for it. Well, anything that comes from that's loving is yours forever. And anything that came from that was painful and difficult to process or uncomfortable or disrespectful or whatever it was, is yours to let go of. Because on the path to love and on the path to really to heaven, to experiencing God's love more and more fully, it's not so much about getting more. It's about how much can you let go of. And so many friends, and myself included, we all have tragedies in our lives. We all have things that are sad, that are uncomfortable. And I just would like us to really look for the dance party, like, where was the joy? Where was everybody in that situation, in their happy place? And it's like this in the relationships that have passed. And that's what I wanted to just say for today, that like, for the situation that happened in Freakville, and with all of the beautiful people that joined together with a real sincere, I believe, a real sincere effort to build community. I feel like, I know for us and for our family, we put everything on the line for that, because we believed in it at the time, and we knew that we could do it because we have done it, and we've built lots of communities and had amazing yoga trainings and programs and circles, and it's just been amazing. But the form isn't always the way that we want it to be. But the intention was pure, and it was good, and it was holy. And I like that word, so I'm going to keep using it. It was holy in that it was divinely inspired. But sometimes on that path, we have to go through the hard times. We have to go through, the muck of it. And for whatever reason, and there were many, I don't want to go through all of that right here. It just didn't align. It just didn't. And when I realized it wasn't going to, at that point, there was no reason to force it. It was just let it be. Because we have certain operating instructions, in terms of my family and the way I live my life. Like, we, communicate with direct communication. We don't like gossip. We don't like, a lot of back talking or triangulation and things like that. And I'm generally fairly direct. So if something is going on, if you have a problem, you take it to the person who can offer the solution. Because if you take it to someone else, it becomes something different. And I find that that's a really important skill. That's something that we learn in terms of our life. Like, how do I communicate hard things? If I see something that I don't like or I don't understand, like, how am I going to process that? Do I just take it to, a friend and then make it bigger and justify it? Or do I take it to someone who can help me to see it from the highest perspective? And that's a skill. Like I said, that's something that we need to learn. That's something we need to train in. And that's what I do for a living. That's what I have been doing. And that's now taking another direction. And I'm really excited because the space off, and I'm going to keep taking space off to really get clear on, like, how do I want to present this material in the world, and also live it in a way, that's so invincible. Because that's what I've enjoyed in terms of the space, just the safety of my family and the discernment of who I want to spend my time with and how. And miracles are always held in a trust. So even though that didn't work out, the way that we had thought it would, and it was sad. It was super sad for, I think, everybody involved. But I don't know that for a fact. I just know that I could guess that it was not what we had intended. And it takes a lot of communication to have those types of things work themselves out. And given the fact that I've been leading teacher training circles since I was 24, and now I'm in my 40s, it felt like that was the gift that God gave me that I could offer. And when it wasn't received, and this is for all of us, like, anytime you give and it's not received, the way that you want, or you don't get the love that you expect from something, like you pour your heart into something and then, like, it wasn't what you thought it was. All of us have these types of relationships where, you bend over backwards and you keep going. Well, at some point, we've got to realize that we can't get what we need from the outside. We need to trust that there is some kind of mystical process happening here. And so if it's not happening the way it is, let it be. Really, just let it be. Give it to God and see what happens. Because within, I would say, a New York minute, a miracle was born. That is what I wanted in terms of community, what I wanted in terms of that, soul family connection. And that doesn't undermine my relationship to my family of origin, who I love so much more now than I did 3 months ago. Because I want to say this about that. It was like, a lot of us have judgments around our families of origin. They do this, or maybe they got vaccinated and you don't believe in the vaccination, or maybe they eat meat and you're a vegan, or whatever it is. And we use these separations, we use these differences in lifestyle to separate. And not only to separate, but there's a righteousness that happens, maybe on your end, or maybe on their end, or maybe on both. Who cares? It's not appropriate. And what I realized in my family of origin, who had every reason not to love me and not to receive me when I went up there this summer, because I had been out there, putting a lot of good stuff out in the world the last year or so, but a lot of stuff too that was really judgmental and was perceived, I was really, it was intense. People were saying I was all sorts of things that were not true based on the people I was speaking with, their reputation, based on some of the things that I allowed to be said in my presence, just all sorts of things. And again, the intention was good and loving and pure. And I'm learning, and so is everybody else. But my family of origin, who had every reason to, reject, or to be like, this was beyond, loved me. I mean, I could cry, with so much consistency that it reminds me that that's what this is about. That's what love is about. It's loving someone no matter what, without condition. Oh, well, you talk to that person. Like, how many people in my life that I loved, that I nurtured, put my heart and soul into people in these last few years, and we've all done this in our lives. And then all of a sudden you do something that they don't approve of, and then you become this bad person in their life. We have got to start loving more unconditionally. We have to practice this. We have to love the people that reject us. And my family of origin is really good at that. They're great lovers. And I've been really blessed. Now, I haven't always had that, that level of respect for them, certainly. And I maybe I haven't received that level of respect or whatever, but none of that matters anymore, because when you take some space to really sit back, what I've come to really is that love is simply unconditional. It loves. It changes form for sure, but it looks to someone's heart and someone's soul, and it doesn't judge their behavior as who they are. So if someone's getting a vaccine and you don't believe in it, then that's not who they are. They're beyond that. Can we love just for love's sake? Can we do that? And a lot of people, we don't know how to do that. We're so wounded and traumatized. But my sense now, and what I'd like for all of us, is that I just want to check here we love you so much. It's all good. Hi, guys. It's so lovely that so many of you are here. I cannot judge or point fingers or criticize or take sides. Beautiful, Susan. Yeah, some of us have to be the ones that stay grounded in the reality of love. And, some people have come on really hard on me recently, and that's okay. I get it. I can see from where they're coming from. I can see how they could say, oh, you were this and that, and, you approved of all of that. But again, anytime someone's giving you all of that, that's about them. That's about them, no matter what. You can look to see, are there any nuances here that I need to clean up? And certainly there have been, and I've learned a lot from those experiences. But at the end of the day, it really is about becoming more and more centered in oneself. If someone says to me, you're a white supremacist, I go, okay, I can see how you got there. Okay, I can see how A, B, and C led to that. And oh yeah, I can see that. But you've been to my house and we've had meals together, and that that's not true. So we've got to expand more. Too many of us get stuck in our iterations and our versions of who we think people are based on their actions. And my recommendation to all of us is to step back from actions and to really start looking deeper into who people are in their soul. And in my experience, the more love I can see and the more innocence I can see in my brothers, even the ones that hurt me, even the ones that judge, even the ones that were, a lot, there's been a lot, all of us have this. If I can see the love in them, then I get to see the love in myself. And then I'm in the fifth dimension and only then. So that's what I wanted to say. I know that, well, thanks, Susan.
Right. I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm not supposed to be on this. I realized I clicked the wrong thing and I'm actually on your live, like in your Zoom. And I'm sorry about that because I'm, running around right now, but I am listening and I don't have my video on. But I just wanted to thank you, first of all, for, we touched on this the other day in our session about trust. And you're doing, like, I can just feel your ease and your genuineness and your love and all of it. And it's because you're taking this step back and you are giving yourself that space and you are filling yourself up to be ready for the people that come to you for that, who need that trust in someone. We know that we can go to God always, but it's really nice to know that there are people out there doing the work so that they can be there for other people who need an actual body in front of them.
Yeah.
And so there's that. And I just wanted to touch on gratitude because you were talking about that earlier. And, I have a young daughter who we butt heads a lot, and she is struggling with a lot right now and was in a really, a very challenging moment the other night. And I just was searching my brain and heart for the answer for her because she goes, "Don't tell me about God. Don't tell me about prayer. I don't want to hear it." I'm like, I'm just listening, But at the end of it, I said, "Sweetie, I just want to ask you one thing." She's like, "What is it?" She just like pushing back. And I said, "Every morning and every night before you go to bed and when you wake up, I want you to just think about, you don't have to write it down. It doesn't have to be this big process, but just think about what you're grateful for." And literally, and this is my kid who doesn't want to give me an inch. And I was taking her to school the other day and she goes, "Mom, I have to tell you, like, the gratitude thing is working." And I was just, it just warmed my heart so much. And I just wanted to share that. You are right. Gratitude is everything. It is. And loving more. You're so right. I am in a world, and because I share so much with you, I have so much pushback and I'm like, I got to make my point and all. But yeah, if we can come from a loving space and see that we are all love at the core of it. And we're all scared as well. And if we could just realize that and respond with that. Anyway, I just wanted to share that.
Thank you for bringing it back to gratitude, because that's the process of forgiveness. When you get over the grievance or the resentment and you're willing to see things differently, and then you receive the soul lesson. Oh, this was about me learning discernment. That's a lot for me. Discernment has been huge, and listening to my intuition. Then I can be grateful. And gratitude is the healing of the cause. It's like I can be in that state of like, wow, I'm really glad that things fell apart, the way they did. I'm really glad I had such a hard time with that. I'm really, I'm okay with that because I learned, it's like I say to you guys often, forgiveness gives you everything you want, because I learned. And then the upgrade from that is the gift from God. Like, that's how God operates, is like it gets better and better the more and more you forgive and the more and more you're willing to let go of. And I'm not saying, like, if you're in an abusive relationship, just stay there and let it go and move on. No, nobody write me and say that. But like, I'm saying that if you're willing to see your part in it, what did I need to learn here? How could I have communicated better? How could I have grown? And then see it and see your own wisdom, and that's what your daughter tapped too, Jen, is like, there's goodness in this life. There's so much of it, but we can't really see it unless we're grateful for all of it.
Right. You're absolutely right.
So it's just, we so want the good things, and I get that. We all want the joy and the fun, and that's the majority, that's I think the majority of experiences that I've been having have been really great. But, I've had a whole year where there was like 3 major breakdowns in communication, major breakdowns in relationships. And I have to look at my part in that, like I have to see, what are you showing me? Where am I attached to being right? Where am I attached to being perceived in a certain way? Is it okay for me to be perceived in a way that I don't perceive myself? Like think about Jesus Christ as an example. Like think about how many people, we have a gal in our private group who, she was struggling with a couple of her peers who were saying things like, if you don't repent now, you're going to go to hell. And she's like, I don't resonate with that. And it's like, I can see that. But Christ allows that. He allows his name to be used in all sorts of insane ways because he knows who he is. As that nexus point, my friend recently, one of my beautiful friends said to me, this nexus point, that Christ consciousness is loving consciousness in action. Like that's what Christ consciousness is like, how would love respond to this? What does loving my neighbor look like? What does turning the cheek look like? It doesn't look like punching the other cheek as much as you might want to. It's like, wow, I've got some serious anger right now. What is that about? Jen, we use it's yoga. Larry would say, what is that about? It's yoga. Mm-hmm. What is that about? And, I want to tell a story about Larry because you're here and it's with me. And he used to say, there's a lot of people out there right now that have said to me, well, I'm not ready to teach, or, I have to, I want to be at this level of A, B, and C before I put myself out there. And some of the clients that I work with. And I remember Larry's story about when he started teaching yoga, and there was a group of people that were studying from the master from India. And every time he went back to India, the community would say, well, who's going to teach? Who's going to teach now? And Larry, my yoga teacher and late husband, raised his hand and he said, I'll teach. And they said, no, you can't teach. You can't teach because, and he said, why not? I've been here as long as you. And they said to him, because you can't do everything perfectly. And he said to them, that's not what I heard him say, though, meaning the teacher. I heard him say, who wants to share what they love? Mm. And that's always been the It's Yoga philosophy. And whether It's Yoga lives on or not, I mean, it took a huge hit this year because I put myself out there and said, hey, I don't think that Trump guy is the demon that everybody says he is. Well, he's a white supremacist and now you are too. Wait a second, is that really how the world works right now? Well, I don't know everything. I just know a few things that he's done that haven't been all that bad. And I am willing to see it differently. So are we willing to broaden? Well, you didn't do that perfectly, so I don't want to be on your team anymore. It's like, well, at least I'm doing it. At least I'm sharing what I love. And I really encourage all of you to do that. Share what you love. Share it from a place of love. And yeah, things are going to crumble. Anything that is not love cannot stand in the presence of love. It will be challenged. Things will fall apart. But if we keep expecting higher and higher and higher expressions of love to be experienced in this now moment, then we can trust that God will really provide for us. And I'm in a place right now that is a dream. And that's what I think I said to you guys in our private call, Jen. You can have your dramas or you can have your dreams, but you can't have both. Yeah. And so,
I love that you shared that story about Larry, because honestly, I remember during my training, him talking about that. And every single person that I've shared yoga with, it was about sharing. And I would explain to them, I'm not the teacher. It really takes the pressure off too. I'm not your teacher. I'm not a yoga teacher. I'm, if you want to call me an instructor, okay, I'm guiding you with and sharing what I know. But after what I know, you're going to take that and you're going to expand on that. And maybe you're going to teach me something. It's about this exchange, this co-creation. It's not about, I know everything. And that's what actually got me to teach, was because it took that pressure off, not teach, to share, because it really did take that pressure off. And it really felt like it took it to a new level of, wow, we're co-creating here. Like, you're just sharing knowledge. And then it expands, and it's a beautiful thing. But yeah, thank you for bringing that up, because it's really a very important point of how he created it, or structured its yoga.
Yeah. And, Jen, I was so blessed. I had master teachers in my life, and they weren't just great at teaching or sharing, information. They were living it.
Yeah.
And I had the experience of living with them as they lived it. So I certainly have expectations and a high standard for what energy feels like. Like, what does love feel like? What does it feel like to be in the presence of love? My coach and mentor for 15 years, it was her birthday yesterday. She passed a couple years ago. She would have been 84, maybe 85. And my goodness, she was a master in A Course in Miracles, not because she called herself that, but because she studied every day. And for over 40 years, she was a part of the Foundation for Inner Peace that published the material after it was scribed, and, all of the things. But, for someone to say, for example, A Course in Miracles and only love is real, and that's crazy shit. And okay, you can say that, but I know different.
Yeah.
I know it. And what's alarming to me, and the lessons that I've been learning, the more space I take, is that how could I have given up my intuition and what I know to be, approved of or liked? Like, what is that egoic pattern that needs to be healed? You know what I mean? Like, how could I just be like, oh, you're right. And how many times do we do this? Do we surrender, some of the truths that we know, or we surrender our integrity or whatever, just to be a part of something or to be approved of? And all I can say is that it was traumatizing to be rejected by, the It's Yoga community, by my coaching community. And so I just kind of jumped into the next thing. And I felt like, oh, okay, I can serve here. Well, it was like, and then the school community fell apart, and then the freak thing fell apart. And then it was like, okay, now it's just you and your people, my kids and my husband. And now what? And then it was like, then the work really began. Then it was like, okay, how can I use what I've learned in the past to expand myself now? And I feel, a great responsibility, because I've been so blessed and had so much loving experience in my life. Like, what the circle is like, Jen, and we're going to do circles again. And we are going to do community, and we are going to do retreats, and all of those amazing things that I was saying we were going to do, we are going to do them. Yeah. But the form changed, and the timing, wasn't right. Dorothy used to say, you can have everything you want, but maybe just not at the same time. And so it was like, this has been such a gift for me to have this space, and now to really be in retreat just as a family. And now with our friends from Texas, like with their family, that's really like-minded and really high level, and really practicing the art of love. That is Christ consciousness, is how do I love you? Not how do I critique you? And that's, you guys, that is the problem with the world. If you want to talk about what's wrong with the world, we don't know how to love each other. We look at somebody coming in that's bright and beautiful, and we look at all of their problems, and we can't see the light. And that's what we need to train we think our eyes see nothing. We need to be able to see with our third eye, the vision and the brightness of our brothers and sisters, not what they see. They see their weight, they see their hair, they see their whatever. We need to see beyond that, and to teach them, now is the time to share what you love. Now is the time to share what you love, because this is what Yogi Bhajan said. If you want to learn about something, read about it. If you want to understand it, write about it. If you want to master something, teach it. And so for me, like, I love to teach. I really do. I love to share my experiences, but I also feel that we need to, all of us, up our game in a way that's actually easier than we think it is. It's easier to love. Don't you think?
I agree. I agree. And I want to tell you too, going back to A Course in Miracles, you were in the middle of Course in Miracles during my training. And I don't know how far along you were with it, but I remember you talking about it. And I bought the book at that time, and it sat in my garage for all this time. And before you and I reconnected, I had bought a couple more, and I told my sisters I wanted to do it with them. And once I got it and they looked through it, they didn't want to do it, but they weren't interested. And I was like, okay, so now I have these books and I haven't started it, and I want to start it. Right. And I thought, who's going to do this with me? And I was taking a financial course at the same time a couple months ago, and you and I reconnected and talked about it a little bit, but I really connected with this one woman from London from the financial course, and we meet once a week, and we started talking on deeper levels. And I said, I just brought up A Course in Miracles to her, and I said, have you ever heard of this? And she said, no, I've never heard of it. And I thought, oh, I've got all these books. I said, I'm sending you A Course in Miracles, and you and I are going to go, we're going to start it together. Possibly. I want you to look through it and see what you think, like I did with my sisters. I sent it to her. The woman, and this started from you, Marie, and this is how you're sharing. This is, an example of how the sharing just keeps expanding, and you never know how you're touching somebody's life. It is changing her life. And she's a journalist in London. Wow. She's a lovely woman. I love her. And we had a Zoom call the other day, and she showed me her book. It has all these papers in it. All these notes. Yeah. She reads it every night before she goes to bed. She told me about all the things that are changing in her life, and it's just a miracle. I mean, literally. And I just wanted to share that with you, because it really, I never would have known about it if it weren't for you. So, and now
I wouldn't have known about it without Larry and Katie, and gosh, so much happened, and then they pulled me into the Center of Excellence and said, hey, meet Dorothy Devac. And then I met Dorothy, and my life changed. And it was like, so many, even a lot of people that have done some good spiritual work or have a lot of information, Course in Miracles is a mind training. And that's what this is about. It is about shifting our mindset, which is programmed, which we all know, in the thought systems of fear, and shifting it to the thought system of love. So it's teaching you how to think along the lines of God, which is training you in Christ consciousness. So it's a very potent curriculum. And it says you might not agree, you might not like it, you might actively, push back against it. It really doesn't matter to the Course, and I think that I think I shared, I don't know if I shared with some of you, but I had a channeling with a beautiful woman from Sweden who's been channeling Jesus for like 30 years. And a dear friend of me hooked me up with this woman, and I had to wait like 6 months to get it. And I don't know what I think about that kind of stuff, but I was open. I was like, whatever, I'll do it. And it was in the middle of what was happening. Things were falling apart in Freakville when I had this call. And it was super early in the morning because the time changed. And I get on this call, and it was, wow, like amazing. Amazing. And at the end, there was some time for questions. And I asked about A Course in Miracles. And I said, did you write A Course in Miracles? And he said, yes. And I was like, that's all I needed to know. And then he thanked me for teaching this curriculum, and that it's not for everybody, but it's for those who want enlightenment, because it's practical. You can know everything, but if you cannot practice love, you don't know anything. And I'm not saying that to be judgmental or rude, but it is, and it's not just about loving, animals or your kids or, your next door neighbors. It's about loving your enemies. It's loving the people that hurt you. It's loving the people that drive you crazy. It's loving the people that you believe are taking away your sovereignty. It's like backing so out of it. And that's not something you can do by thinking it. It's practical. It's a skill set. And the course, I put it down for, I think I said that to you, 9 or 10 months. And then my book is really messed up. I just bought a new one. And I'm super excited to, I open it every day, in the morning and the evening. And sometimes I come back to it, because being your one self is one of the lessons. I am my one self united with my creator. I remember reading it and being like, I'm not that, you're innocent. And so is he. No, I'm not. Don't you know about all that stuff I just did, or all the stuff he did? No, it kept going. And so eventually it breaks down those egoic patterns. It starts to break down that coding, those systems. And so I find it to be really beautiful. If it's your book, you'll know it. And if it's not, that's okay too, because it's the universal curriculum, and it's spoken in many, many different ways, because God loves you so much. So if you're not going to hear it through the course, that's okay. There's another, there's the Bhagavad Gita, or the Yoga Sutras, or Siddhartha, or the Bible, or whatever is working. But I find that the language in the course is, and it even says that, it's ancient and familiar.
Right.
It's beautiful material. And it's really the basis of my what I can share in the world, because it's transformed my reality so much. Like I don't know who I would be. I'm scared to think about it, to be honest with you. Without it, I really don't.
I didn't realize Larry had done it, had introduced it to you.
He didn't. He introduced me to Dorothy and Katie. Katie was the one who gave me the books, and then I would put the lesson up on our bulletin board in our loft on, what street was that, Folsom and 4th. And so I remember Larry going into yoga one day and being like, the light has come. One of the lessons. The light has come, everybody. Iny girl told me, Mrs. Schultz said the light has come. Don't worry about it. Everybody just, we're going to do the rocket. It's going to be fine. So he did it in like through me. He kind of joked with it. And he always would ask me, what's the lesson today? And what does that mean to you? And he really encouraged me to study, because he knew that it was helping me, because I was so programmed. And I see it, go ahead.
You just gave an example of how playful he was. And you just said how much more fun we need to have earlier. Yeah. And he brought playfulness to everything, but also was, sharing something deep always as well.
Yeah. He was super fun, super light. And Dorothy was that way too. She would laugh. And I find myself that way too. Like, gosh, we are so serious sometimes. We take ourselves very seriously. We take ascension very seriously. We take the world. It's all an illusion. Only love is real. So to the extent that you want to live in reality, live within the boundaries of love, within the universal principles of loving action and right action, things like that. And that's beyond judgment. The only aspect of you that can judge is the Holy Spirit. The Course teaches us that the Holy Spirit within you. So we have to ask the Holy Spirit to order our thoughts for the day. Like, can you help me to see this? Because I see this as, A, B, and C. How do you see this? Because the Spirit within you will use everything you see to teach you something about love. So anyway, I just felt like I wanted to come in and say hi to you guys and let you know that I haven't forgotten about these YouTube shows, and I'm just really in the question still. And we have our private group. Jennifer's in there, and there's a few other like really, really strong women that want to do it, that want to learn how to practice. And I'm that way too. I'm a leader, but I am in the circle. We're equals in this work together. And so you're always free to reach out and see how that's going. And I'll come in and do more of this stuff. And I have a podcast on iTunes that I haven't even looked at in 2 years, but there's some really good information. If you like A Course in Miracles, there's a lot of great topics in there and how to break it down in your own life. And thank you for the space. I know that it was really sad with the freaky breakdown, and I'm still kind of, there's still a few things I'm processing, but all in all, I'm super grateful for the experience. I wish everybody just the most love and the most bliss. And if they want that, but that's what I wanted. And so I needed to make sure that I was in alignment to that for myself. And I know that there was a lot of hearts broken online too. And I said that to the group, there's a lot of people in the world rooting for us. We have every incentive. We have so much to work towards, and we can do it. But, the energy just wasn't right. It just wasn't. So, that was that. And we'll see how it continues to go. And I just feel like now there's space for new light, new community, people that are willing to really look at love as an operating system, because that's really essential for me, even if we need to practice, and no one's perfect, right? It's not about doing the poses perfectly. It's not about that, but it's about showing up every day with that imperfect perfection of wanting to be more loving, wanting to be an expression of God's light in this reality. And you are a ray of light from the sun, whether you know it or not. And so might as well know it and collaborate with that incredible force of energy from the great rays. They are magnificent. And I feel really grateful to be back in this container. And I'm going to wrap it here and just send you all off with some love. And I'll let you know if we're going to do this again next week for Miraculous Mondays. There's a lot of good stuff in this expression today. Even if you just took one line, do I want to be a hostage to the ego or a host to God, and play with it in your life and retrain yourself. And that's again, the course. If you're interested in that material, I don't get anything from it other than more love. But it trains you, it teaches you how to think lovingly. And again, that's a skill set. We all could use more support in that. So much love. Thanks, Jen, for coming on. Thank you, Lonnie. And thank you to everyone here in the chat today. I see Marie, you don't know me, you're precious. Thank you, Krista. Thank you. I have 20 ACM local friends. Way to go, Susan. Beautiful. Yeah. And I'm going to focus more on that material because I think it's really powerful and it's what I know. So yeah, I have 6% left on my battery, so it's perfect timing. Much love, everybody. Thank you for being here. I'll go through the comments right now. And
thank you, Marie.